Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, you know what it is and what it do. It is Friday, February the 5th, and you are officially tuned into the Revolution Radio Show. I am your boy, Jay Love, and as always, I got these two lovely ladies with me, Cherie, Marlene. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
And I got Miss Melian. How's it going? Miss Melian.
What's up? Happy Friday. I'm great. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm feeling amazing. Today is an amazing day. I'm excited. We got a special guest. Our first special guest goes in week one. Our show been going pretty good. How y'all feeling about the show so far? I think the show is doing amazing for our first week.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Great. Yep. I'm having a lot of fun.
You know what I mean? And I just want to jump right into it because it's kind of tied in with our Black History tie-in, right? So I told y'all every single day I'm going to be bringing you that Black history. We're going to salute a different person that made a contribution, not only to the culture, quote unquote, but a contribution to the world. So today we celebrate and we honoring and we saluting one of the most important figures ever in hip hop. Yeah, I mean, he's known around the world in places where they don't even speak English. They know his name and they know his face. He taught an entire generation it ignited a generation to want to be more, to want to be revolutionaries. And he, you know, the thing I love about this particular artist that we're going to talk about, and I've been, you know, alluding to it all week anyway, is that, you know, he was the perfect contradiction. You know what I mean? Like he was everything. He was good. He was bad. He was caring. He would fight with you. You know what I mean? And so he was us. And so a whole generation of us that grew up on him, like just, you know what I mean? He was our Martin Luther King. He was our Malcolm X. He was our Huey P. Newton. You feel me? And to this day, I got to speak at one of the BLM rallies this summer in LA. And I was sharing with them that, and so who I'm talking about is the late, great Tupac Shakur. You feel me? And so I was sharing with them because obviously it was a lot of people younger than me. And I was sharing with them that once upon a time, he had made a comment that he might not change the world, but he would ignite the flame that would go on to change the world. And I told them that you know, this generation, this is the generation that the flame that was sparked by Tupac that really did change the world. You know what I mean? We're still feeling the effects of everything going on, you know, that went on this summer, you know, and a lot of that is because of people, you know, like Public Enemy and a lot of other cats, but definitely Mr. Tupac Shakur. So I salute, first of all, to Tupac, man. Yo, brother, thank you for you know, being an inspiration in my life. But today on the show, we got a legend, the legendary, you feel me? He is part of one of the most iconic groups in hip hop. He sold millions of records around the world. And I had him on the show because not only was he a friend of Mr. Pac, but he was also partly responsible for introducing Pac to the world. So ladies and gentlemen, wherever you at, if you in your car, if you on your computer, if you on your device, whatever, put your hands together for my man, the legendary Money B. Money B, what it do, man? How you feeling?
What's happening? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good, man. Excited to have you with us today, man, especially while we honor really your friend, your dude, you know what I mean? And right. So, you know, thank you for coming and talking with us. I mean, I got so many questions for you, man, but I got to jump in with this. How did you guys meet Pac?
Pac was actually signed to the same label, to the independent label that we were signed to, called TNT Records, which was owned by H. Gregory, who was also our manager. And Pac was in a group called Strictly Dope. I don't know if you guys know who Ray Love is, right?
Yeah, I know Ray Love, yeah.
Ray Love actually had a solo career, so Ray and Pac were in a group together, and they had a third member, DJ Diz, or Dizzy. And, you know, when before H signed him, we, meaning, you know, me, Shock, and the group, we were kind of like his ears for hip hop. So when he was thinking about doing something, he'd be like, yo, what y'all think about this? So he was really interested in signing his group, and he was like, and let me back up. Tupac had went and met Shock in the studio beforehand, but he actually auditioned. The group auditioned for us as a group. So I remember Adrian like, "Yo, come over to the crib." It was a house that Sloop and Shock G lived in. Sloop was my manager, and 39th and Market, standing out in the corner. They pull up, jump out, start busting, and that's how I met him.
Wow, man. And so let me ask you this, man. Like, and I know, you know, Meliana or Sharif, you want to jump in at any moment, but did you know, like, did you have any inclination when you first met this kid? Like, because I know Pac was a little bit younger than you, right?
Yeah, he's like a year and a half younger than me.
Did
so
you
this year's is so he's a year younger because this year will be his 50th birthday, and I'm 51.
Okay, good black don't crack, brother. You looking amazing for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Good black don't crack.
Thank you.
So did you have any inclination like that Pac was gonna become like this thing that was larger than life? Like, was there anything that kind of pointed to that, you know, in the early days?
Well, I was gonna add on to the first time that we met him, or the first time that I heard him rhyme, you know, I thought that Tupac and Ray Love were equally talented as far as rhyming. So as far as rapping, like they were both cool. And they, like one wasn't better than the other. But it was after that when they just were hanging out, it was like Tupac's, his energy and just his, you know, his
aura.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I ain't gonna call it aura like Prince or nothing, but he just
charisma. What do you think is like his charisma?
Charisma, yeah, charisma. So he just commanded the energy in the room, like, you know what I mean, like when you were in the space, in the same space as him. If he was talking, or if he was, you know, he was a funny dude. You just always were paying attention to whatever he was doing, and he just had that, like no matter what. Or whoever was there. Like I started to notice little by little, you know, and I got a funny story about that. But, you know, whenever he'd be in the room, everybody was listening or paying attention. He made sure you paid attention to him because he wanted that attention as well.
Hey, I heard a story. I don't know if it's true, but I heard a story that early on that I don't know if it was you that he almost shot, but that he was showing off an AK-47. Is that a true story? I guess he was staying with Shock. And
nah, he had his own apartment.
Okay.
In Oakland, it was like his first apartment that he got, and he had an AK. And I guess I wasn't there, but it was Shock who was there, but he was like wanted to show Shock. He was like, "Look, Shock," and he pulled it out and he was showing it to him, and he just went off and he shot up his whole floor with the AK. And then he was like, and then he was excited about that. He was like, "Oh shit, you see that?" Like it was crazy.
That's hilarious, man. Look, I was talking to the girls earlier, man, and I was saying how, and again, I want you to correct these things because you were there firsthand. I've just heard stories over the years and whatnot. But correct me if I'm wrong. The first, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it, big song he was on was your guys' same song. All around the world, the same song.
Yeah, that was his first. That was his first record. That was the first time that the world got to hear pop. Before that, it was just demos, so they didn't have a record out before.
And so I heard that he, you know, because he was dressed like an African king, right? Almost like it was almost like, to me, it was reminiscent of that Huey picture, right? In the chair. But I heard that he wasn't feeling the idea at the time, like that he fought.
Nah, he wasn't. He was like, "Well, I got to be the African," like, you know, jokingly. But it ended up being like the perfect role, right, for him to play. Yeah. But yeah, jokingly, because, you know, we used to call him the Wild African back in the day, you know, before that. And so it was like, well, I got to dress up like the African. Jokingly, like I said, but he definitely was resisting it for a minute.
Well, I bring that up to say this. What I want to do right now is, because this is definitely one of my favorite songs of all time, one of my favorite of your guys' songs. You know what I mean? And so for those of y'all young ones who ain't really up on it, this is hip hop right here. And for those of y'all that's, my age and somewhere in that range, when this would come on, it would light up a party or whatever. But ladies and gentlemen, please, on February the 5th, as we honor Mr. Tupac Shakur for Black History Month, as an innovator, as a motivator, as a legend, as a king, as so many other things, I want to go ahead and play Digital Underground, same song featuring Tupac Shakur.
And all around the world. And all around the world. And all around the world. Same song. And all around the world. Same song.
Yo, we've been all around the world.
Been all around the world.
Same song.
I came for the party to get naughty, get my rocks on, eat popcorn, watch you move your body to the pop song that I'm singing, ding-a-linging, funky beats ringing, everybody swinging in the place as I kick the J-A-Z-Z-Y style, R&B mixing it with the hip-hop swing beat, champagne in my hand, it won't be long till I'm gone. It's just the same old song.
It's just a freestyle, meanwhile I keep the beat kicking. Sweat dripping, girlies in the limo eating chicken. Oops, don't get the grease on your pantyhose. I love you, Rover, move over, I gotta blow my nose. Sneezing, but still I'm pleasing all of Slimmies, pull out my Jimmy. Time to get busy with a Jenny. If it's good and plenty, don't you know? There I go, there I go, there I go. But I don't go nowhere without my gym hat. What I'm rapping is if she's clapping, then I'm strapping, cause I'm smarter than that. And then girlie, maybe we can get along. Cutie after cutie, it's just the same old song. It's the same old song, y'all.
Same song.
It's just the same old song.
It's the same song. Money big, the freaky deaky, the squeaky wicky up and down. Well, as a matter of fact, I'll be right back. I gotta take a leaky. So I'm draining, entertaining, but I got fame and the bases I touch too much for me to try to be naming. Hey yo, he saw me on cable and grin. I busted in and I was going to win. Like Clark Gable back in Oakland, it's the same old song for Sporty Shorty, same freckles and hat, drinking the same Ford.
Hypothetical, political, lyrical, miracle whip, just like butter. My rhymes are legit, cause I'm a Humpty, not Humpty Dumpty, but Humpty Hump. Here a hump, there a hump, everywhere I'm Humpty Hump.
Shut up and just listen, not dissing, don't get me wrong. But to me it's just the same old song, so just watch. Cause my name is Shock, I like to rock and you can't stop this. Tupac, go ahead and rock this.
Now I clown around when I hang around with the underground. Girls used to frown, say I'm down when I come around. Gas me, and when they pass me, they used to diss me, harass me. But now they ask me if they can kiss me. Get some fame, people just wanna live their life high. Same song can't go wrong if I play the nice guy.
Claiming fame must have changed now that we became strong.
I remain still the
Why
same,
too?
cause it's the same song.
It's the same song.
Same old song, y'all.
Same song.
Shout out, check hand, shout out. Shout out, stop. It's just the same old song. Yeah, that was quick. Yeah, Humpty Hump in the house, y'all. And you know what? It's the same old song. All around the world, same song.
Yo, that was Digital Underground featuring Tupac Shakur, same song.
Hey, look, so I have a fun fact, right?
Yeah.
So, did you guys see Eazy-E and Dr. Dre in that video, right?
Yes.
I noticed them. So
absolutely.
Remember how I said that we were Atrium's ears to listen to Tupac and Strictly Dope. Well, the way that the Atron signed Digital Underground is the way that he got his money to start his label is he was a road manager and for Jerry Heller and Ruthless Records. So he got his money by road managing NWA and JJ Fad and all the acts from Ruthless. So when he was thinking about signing Digital Underground, he actually asked NWA to listen to our tape and tell us what they thought. And they kind of gave us the okay. So I knew the importance of really, if fighting, if it's possible to give somebody a chance, because that's how we got our chance. So a lot of people don't know that we kind of came up under NWA. Like we actually, I consider, ourselves part of the NWA from the NWA tree, because without them giving us the okay, and without Atron working for Ruthless, we would have never, Digital Underground would have never been. So we used to, when like anytime NWA or any of the Ruthless acts, when they would come to Oakland or be around, we were always there with them. We would be around NWA, so we knew those guys.
But you still keep in touch with
Cube
or anybody? You still keep in touch with them?
If I need Cube, I can call him. When we see each other, or if I see Dre, it's love.
Yeah, me too. I call Cube all the time.
It is. Nah, that's those are my guys. Like, just like that.
So Pac had so many sides to him. Like he was poetic, he had the energetic side, the gangster side. Like, how would you describe Pac? Knowing him personally and being with him.
I mean, he was a complete, or you have some artists, I call them two-dimensional, because they just have, if they're supposed to be hard, they're hard 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not a gangster when you take a shit. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they act. But Pac was a person that showed you every side of himself, like a real human being. You know what I mean? He wore it. He showed it all to you. So, that's one of the things I always say, or I hear people complaining about the movie All Eyes on Me, and they're like, well, I already knew everything, and I didn't learn anything new. But Tupac, he gave you everything as it was happening in real time. So he shared his life in real time, as opposed to if you go see the NWA movie, like I said, I know him. So I know the things that happened in that movie that didn't happen in real life. I thought it was a great movie, but I'm like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Well, where was I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because if you even notice, like Atron's not even in the movie, in the NWA movie.
Right.
JJ Fad's not in the movie. And it's events and things that happen that I know really didn't happen, but I hear people like, man, the NWA thing, that was real. Why they didn't show that like in Pop? I'm like, if you only knew, but
that's entertainment. That's entertainment for you. Yeah.
Well, I would always tell people, if you want to see a movie where everything in the movie happened exactly like it happened in real life, it's called a documentary.
Right.
You feel me? Other than that, you have to make it entertaining, and you have to, you have to have some freedom with the story of the truth to make it appealing to an audience.
Absolutely. Hey, I heard in the beginning, well, I mean, throughout his life, but in the beginning, not disrespectfully, but Pac was kind of like on the first cut, like
that's disrespectful. No.
but I heard he was like a kid in the sense of like his energy, his excitement, like being so excited, where a lot of people would be cool, like, yo, I'm cool, I'm on tour. I heard that Pac just had a lot of fun. Can you expound on that, or was that true? Because like I said, I've heard stories, man. So it's cool talking to you to be able to hear, like, wait, did I hear the truth, or was it an exaggeration?
I mean, we had so much fun. Cause remember when we did our first national tour in the States, that's the first time we brought Pac out. Like we had already, before Pac was in the group, we had already toured Europe and did some other stuff. But when we went out on that first tour, US tour in 1990, Pac was 19, 20 years old. I was 20, 21 years old. So just imagine every night, different city, girls, liquor, weed, just everything was put in front of us, and he was a comedian. So like me and Pop, although we were roommates, we couldn't be in the same room for more than 10 minutes without just
going at
laughing. Yeah, just going at it,
Okay.
talking about each other's mamas and joking. He talking about how short I am. He talking about his nose or his funny haircut or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, it was just clowning all day long.
Speaking of shows, my friend's mom said that she went to a show in New York, I think in 1990. She said 1990, 1991, and it was you guys were performing the Humpty Dance. You guys brought out blow up dolls.
Oh yeah,
is that true?
Very.
Whose idea was that? Was that your idea, Money?
It kind of was.
So let me ask you this.
Y'all crazy.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it was funny because we used to do it during sex packets. You know, while Shock would be doing sex packets, me and Pop, we had these blow up dolls, and then we pull our pants down, and we had like these little leopard Speedo type of things on, and then we start grinding the dolls. But you know, that's how we used to get our women for that.
Oh man, you guys will be on all types of memes if that happened today. All types of memes.
It'd be nuts.
Man,
we was performing.
Do you think are you glad or would you have liked to have had Instagram back then? Are you glad that you didn't?
I'm so glad there was no Instagram back then. Or social media.
So
we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Let me ask you this, man. What was your favorite #1 Tupac album and #2 Tupac song?
Favorite song is easy. So Many Tears. Produced by Shock G. And just, you know, when that song came out, I knew what was actually going on in his life at the time. And I could just hear I could hear the raw emotion when he performed that song. And when I first heard the record, I was like, that's that one right there.
Wow.
Was Pac against ghostwriters? I know he had a lot of people in the studio with him. Was he against ghostwriters and?
Not necessarily. No, not at all. Because all right, you guys are familiar with Trapped.
Mm-hmm.
His first single. You know, they got me Trapped. You know?
Yeah.
It was his first single on Interscope. Ray Love actually wrote that record.
Okay.
So his first single was ghost written, but it wasn't like because somebody gave him that song that he couldn't, like, we knew he was dope. He knew he was dope. So he's like, fuck it, it's good. It's a good song. And it, you know, he felt it, so he rocked it. And actually in I Get Around, he wrote the whole song for us in case we didn't have time to write our verse. Because when we recorded that song, he was living in LA, we were still in the Bay. And the verse that Shock G actually sings on I Get Around, Tupac wrote that verse for Shock.
Wow.
I wrote my own shit. No.
So let me ask you this, man. During the whole supposed quote unquote East Coast West Coast thing, because it wasn't really that, but how were you, like, what were the conversations you were having with Pac at that, or did you talk, you know, were you talking to him a lot at that time, you know, when that was real heavy? Like, what was going on then?
Well, at the very peak of it, you know, Pac was with Death Row.
Right.
And he was in LA, and we didn't really, like, I always tell people I've never spent 1 second around Death Row. You know.
Wow.
So during that time we probably spoke on the phone a couple of times. He invited me down there, but you know, I've been hearing stories about that situation, and it wasn't really nothing that I wanted to, you know, an environment that I wanted to place myself in. But you know, the whole East Coast, West Coast thing was like, it was really media driven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people that were really in hip hop, we knew it was just a beef between Big and Pop, or Bad Boy, and therefore whatever. Everybody else that jumped into it was kind of corny. If you were an artist and you was like, oh, blah, 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 it's like, you're a dumb motherfucker. And we played people like that. So think about that. Around that time, we did an album, I think it was Who Got the Gravy, KRS-One, Big Pun, Biz Markie are all on that album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To this day, Busta Rhymes, Big Daddy Kane remain very good friends of mine.
Right.
So, you know, people who were really in it, we knew it was bullshit. But it was dangerous because people outside it were perpetuating it. And the media was perpetuating, especially like Vibe Magazine, The Source, were, you know, putting these articles out. And, you know, but it was all for money for their magazines, not realizing, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I won't cuss. You know, it's kind of messed up that they exploited the culture and a lot of people got hurt behind something that really wasn't anything.
Well, yeah, look, if you just tuned in, this is the Revolution Radio Show, and we have live on the air right now the legendary Money B from Digital Underground. We're talking about the late, great Tupac Shakur. And just a reminder, this show, just like every show, is being brought to you in part by Jim in the Box. You know, we got to pay bills. You know, so ladies, you're trying to get that perfect figure, you need to go to jiminthebox.la. They got, not only is it a waist trainer, but it got the technology in it to tighten you up and tone you up. So go to jiminthebox.la. Let them know that the Revolution sent you. And guess what? From here until Valentine's Day, you get 10% off. That's what it is.
That's a dope title. Jim in the Box.
Yeah, no, it's hot, man. They got these waist trainers. They got these waist trainers. Remember, like back in the day, the Bruce Lee movie where he had the electrodes? I think it was Enter the Dragon where he had the electrodes. They got that inside the waist trainers, and they even putting them inside like leggings. They're putting them inside like all kinds of workout, like to be functional, but it got that technology, so it help you work out while you just kind of chilling, going on about your day. So
I think that was Game of Death.
Yeah, Game of Death. You're right. So it got the Game of Death technology in it. So
Right.
so they one of our sponsors. So shout out to Nika. What's good, Nika?
What up, Nika?
Jiminthebox.la. You know, and so we're talking about the late great Tupac Shakur. And so I'm gonna play right now one of my favorite songs of Pac's, and I want to make sure I got it queued up. And so my favorite song of all time, just because I'm sentimental with it, is Dear Mama. Because especially after my mother passed away, I just felt like that song resonates for generations. Like from here till, you know, another 1,000 years, I think that song, I mean, so much of what he did is going to resonate. But just that song for me, because of my situation with my mom's, like, is my favorite song of all time. But one of my other favorite songs, because to me, which was, you know, kind of like Melly, I was talking about the duality of Pac or the different, you know, variations of Pac, was Keep Your Head Up. Because I think that it was, especially at the time it came out, it was needed. A lot of people, you know, was going through things, you know what I mean, was, you know, a lot of, especially in the hood, a lot of things was going on, and people needed something to really kind of take them out of that and feel good and feel like, you know what, I'm gonna be all right. This situation is a little whatever, but you know, I'm gonna be all right. So this is one of my favorite songs, ladies and gentlemen. This Tupac will Keep Your Head Up, and I hope I got it queued up right, because if I play something else, I'm gonna be a little bit upset right now, but we'll see. Yo, that was Tupac. If you just tuning in, this is the Revolution Radio Show live on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide, everywhere else. And that was Tupac will Keep Your Head Up. And if you don't know already, we have live in the studio the legendary Money B from Digital Underground and a personal close friend of Mr. Tupac Shakur, Money B, man. I'm so excited that you're here, dude. And this is what I got to hear from you. What is your favorite Tupac story? Or, you know, maybe you got a couple, but what's a memory that, like, sometimes you just think back and just get you to laugh and nerd, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess, you know, like I said earlier, like when we was together, we was always just cracking jokes and talking mess about each other. So we had this long running thing about talking about each other's mother, but in large forms. So, you know, I'd read a magazine if Tupac did an article, and then I'd be reading it and go, yeah, shout out to Tupac's mama, she's my DJ. And, you know, I mean, shout out to Money B's mama, she's my DJ, or whatever just cracking jokes. So I remember, you know, I was we were in New York, and at the time I knew Pac's Afeni. She was living in New York at the time. So I was on WBLS, and I was like, yeah, shout out to Tupac's mama. What did I call her? I said she's the DJ for Bone Thug. She's getting boned or something. I said something crazy, but I just was, you know, but I got to say it on New York radio.
Right.
You know, I was like, I got you. So we used to do stuff like that. Like it was just a running thing. Like I never knew if I'm watching him in an interview on some show, or if I read a magazine, he was always going to throw a shot, and then I was trying to do the same thing.
Yo, that's wild that y'all thought to do that like in public, like, you know, on a platform. Like that is hilarious, man.
Public.
That is absolutely hilarious. Hey, what did you think of the hologram? I've been meaning to ask a lot of people, man. Like, what did you think of the hologram?
I didn't really like. I don't have an opinion on it or about it. Like I'm not mad that they did it, but whatever. Like
You think that's something that Pac wouldn't like? You think he would be against that, or do you think he would have? No, go ahead and show my music kind of thing.
Even after he's gone, he would love that. He like, they gonna make a hologram of me when I'm gone. He would be directing it, telling them how to do it.
I feel like that's honoring him, right? Like, who wouldn't want that? What would there to be mad at? Like, we're not letting his memory die, right?
Right. So I don't know what the issue is, you know, because they did an easy one. I seen it at one of the Rock the Bells out here in San Bernardino. And ODB.
Mm-hmm. They did an ODB?
Yeah, his son voiced it, or they got, you know, the movements from him or something.
Oh wow!
And the easy one was during Bone Thug set.
Yeah.
So
I remember,
you know,
easy.
more than caring or thinking about if the person would like it. You know, I was more in awe of the technology.
Right.
You know, like that they could actually do that. It's crazy to me.
If they make yours, you gonna make it a little bit taller?
Slightly, I would hope.
So what is Money B up to these days, man? I mean, you know, we talking about the past, but I know you always got your hands in something. What's Money B up to these days?
Oh man, so much. Where do I start? Well, I'll start with something that you mentioned earlier, right? You were talking about Amazon Prime and whatnot, but I'm actually invested heavily in, and I'm on the board of a new streaming network. It's called Vyre Streaming Network, VYRE. It's a Black-owned streaming network. It's available now on, you know, Fire Stick, Roku, on your, you know, Apple Store or your.
Wow, that's dope. How long you been doing
that? I've been involved in it for a couple of years, but you know, I think they have like. As a matter of fact, this Valentine's Day we're live. It's a live stream concert, Trey Songz. So
wow.
You know, if you follow me on IG at MoneyB69, I'll be posting flyers about it, or you can download Vyre, VYRE streaming network. It's in 116 countries right now. I don't want to lie and say how many hours of content, but there's a lot of content there, and it's a free app right now, so you can watch. You can watch it for free. Yeah, like the live streaming, the concerts are pay-per-view, but just you can watch movies and you know, the scripted series on there. So check it out. But you know, I've been involved with it for a few years. It's existed for about 4 years, but we really haven't rolled out like the major marketing campaign to the world. But it's won so many awards at, you know, like the streaming and like the film events where these things start. So we're on a good trajectory right now. But everybody check out Vyre Streaming Network. Look up Vyre.com and just look on wherever you get your apps and stuff and jump into that thing. But definitely this Valentine's Day, Trey Songz, y'all don't want to miss it. Also, go ahead. You had a question about that?
No, I'm saying that's dope, man. Like that's so it's kind of like, would you say it's kind of, I mean, because so people can wrap their head around it, kind of like Tubi, where Tubi is a free app and you can watch, movies and series and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Tubi, or like when Hulu first started, so you I always try to paint it like this. It's like Tubi or whatever, but it's a network. So when you download the app, you get on this network, it has different channels, just like your DirecTV. You can watch ABC, ESPN, or whatever. So you get on, you get the app, and you can watch different channels. So the Trey Songz is on, I think it's called R&B. It's the R&B channel. But then they have True TV, which is the hip hop channel. We have a boxing channel where we do live boxing events. There's other channels where there's movies, but I can tell you about it. But if you just check it out, you'll understand it. Fire Streaming Network. That's why I was kind of like a little bit smiling when you was talking about the Amazon. I was like, you don't even know. Like, we own our own content, and if you have content, holler at me, because whereas you go to Netflix and they're giving you 8%, maybe 15% if they really want it, or Amazon or whatnot, come to us, and the deals are way more favorable to the content maker. And because it's us, like, I'm one of the guys that be like yay or nay. So we're not going to tell you, can you change it to make so it can appeal to blah blah blah. If it is what it is. If you like it and you have great content, we're not going to ask you to change it or anything. We give it to you raw. So I feel like Suge Knight. You know what I'm saying? If you want them dancing in your videos, come to Fire.
Yeah.
Changing your videos. Outside of that, I also have my own show, which is the Going Way Back Show, which is classic hip hop, raw and uncut. So excuse me for the cuss words, because we say it how we feel on our YouTube channel, but it's exactly what it is.
We actually on the radio, so that's why we got them.
Yeah. And I should have asked first, so I apologize. But our show is all about the legends, and the legends that made this classic hip hop, and we celebrate the music and the legends that made it. So it's an hour-long streaming podcast show that, like last week, Daz Dillinger was on the show. We're talking about his books and what he has going on currently, as well as the same way, just talking about, stories from the past. And because most of these artists I have personal relationships with, their willingness to be open with me. And we just it's kind of like being privy to a private conversation between me and these legends that I've known. We just talk, tell stories.
Wow. So very cool.
So Money. So speaking of like hip hop legends, and I see all those plaques behind you, behind you. And speaking of hip hop legends, how do you feel about today's music? Like, do you feel like, are you against it? Or you feel like, no, hip hop is growing? Do you feel like it's going to go back to lyrics and storytelling? How do you feel about today's music?
Well, I think hip hop it's always evolving, right? And hip hop has always been culture for and driven by the youth, right? So who am I? Is like, why would I be upset at young people for being young? Every time there's a next generation, they claim it for themselves. So, I appreciate it for what it is. Like, I always tell people, because you got cats that are my age, they'd be like, yo, back in the day, it was like this. And I always explain, like, it was whack music back when I did it, when we were doing it too. There was just as many whack rappers as it is today. Right. But I will say this, it was harder. If you were whack, it was harder to get out there. So, but there was a lot of whack rappers that got through. So it's just as many. So because there are so many outlets and you can pick and choose what you want, you have to decide what you want to listen to. So I'm not bothered by any of the music, because if I don't like it, I just don't have to listen to it. But I'm not mad at, I'm not mad at anybody for getting, if they're getting it and if people love it, I always tell people, there's an audience. If all your raps were about gay vampires. There's an audience that like gay vampire rap. You just got to find them, and they're gonna accept you. And if you don't like gay vampire rap, just don't listen to gay vampire rap. You know, it's simple as that. So you know, I applaud these young artists that are doing it. You know, and because hip hop has kind of branched out and evolved into so many genres, man, you know, I give people their space. Do you? And but also because I'm satisfied with my career, I don't feel any kind of way, you know, because I feel like I've done what I needed to do and what I wanted to do. So it's not like you're taking any food out of my mouth or anything like that. So, you know, and I always tell young artists, you know, tap in with your OGs or
absolutely
the legends or people that did it before, because we are eager to share information and knowledge because we do love the culture. We want it to continue. So, and there's a lot of young cats that do reach out, you know.
That's
Once
dope.
again, you know, there's this narrative about, you know, there's the old against the new, you know, old against the young, the whatever. It's like, oh, we all in this thing together. We all we got. So let's, as much as we can, I speak to unity.
I really appreciate the love in that explanation. Like, I feel like that was just very well said and encouraging for the younger aspiring rappers that are listening. So,
yeah, you know, I'm a fan of how these artists maneuver through, you know, because the music business has changed. You know what I'm saying? Like drastically. Like, you know, there's no records, there's not even no CDs anymore. So the way that a new artist could jump out and have 1 million Spotify streams in 2 months, I'm like, how'd y'all do that? You know? So I'm a fan of it.
Do you feel like it's a lot easier now for people to?
Absolutely.
Because of the exposure, would you say? Just because?
Well, no, because there's, you know, you don't like right now, if you look behind me, you know, I have my little home studio or whatever, right? So in the comfort of my home, I can, or just say a young artist, he can rap into his laptop and post it for free. And if it doesn't work,
do you feel like it's harder because of the saturation? Like it's too saturated, the market? Do you feel like it's harder to get noticed?
It is. I mean, I feel like there's a give and take to it, right? So because it's so easy to do, there will be saturation because, you know, back when we were getting started, you know, you really had to, you know, you had to say, you know, you had to spend your money and time and go to the studio.
Yeah.
So it was a little more commitment because if it didn't work, you're sitting on these 2-inch reels, you done spent all this money. You know what I mean? It was a lot to go through this whole thing. Now everything's digital. I could try it on my laptop. If it don't work, no sweat.
That's true.
You know, so somebody who doesn't even love the music as much, they just like, let me see if I can make some money off this thing.
Yeah.
And if it works, it's like, okay. If it doesn't, all right, cool. You know, we'll go watch Tubi.
Hey, and no diss to Blueface. Yeah, no diss to Blueface, but he actually said in an interview he wasn't even like a rapper. Like he was in the studio with his friends that were rapping, and then he just decided to get on and just kind of do his thing. And then look where he is
prime
now.
Example.
You know, he blew up.
I saw that.
He was even saying he don't even rap like that. So,
but that has to be frustrating for the people that have put everything into it, and that truly is their blood, sweat, and tears. And then someone just gets picked up.
That's what makes people, you know, from our demographic that did it before kind of shake their head because it's like, bro, you don't know how much we put into it to get where we got, and then just, you know, some cat that, oh man, I don't even really like rap. I just did it because I.
And they don't even have to nowadays do shows and learn how to deal with an audience. You could tell they don't have that seasoned being in front of an audience. They ain't been booed before.
No stage experience. Like I said, like before the Humpty Dance even came out, we had toured Europe for 2 months and we're playing in like coffee shops and honing our skill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now, you know, a cat can sell 1 million records and never have left his bedroom.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why he fails why he's whack on stage or doesn't have what do you call it?
Any presence.
Publicity training, or doesn't know how to talk when he
Stage
does radio
presence.
interviews, stage presence, none of that.
To me, the
Because-
biggest thing is what you just said right now is the ability to talk after you've done a record. Like when you look at like even you right now, or you know, even going back to Pac or listening to other artists or more seasoned artists, they knew how to do an interview and actually have a conversation. You know, more than just know
Right.
what I mean?
And and you know, if I feel like if you study your craft, like if you know the history of anything you do, like if you're a doctor, right, you have to know medicine. You have to study, read books. If you're a
Wow.
lawyer, same thing. I just feel like
Wow.
if you're an NFL player, you should know who Walter Payton is, or
Right.
Emmitt Smith, know, or Jerry Rice, or Joe Montana. You have to know who these people are. At least know some history of the game that you're playing.
Right.
You know, if you're a singer, normally you know about Donny Hathaway or Marvin Gaye or Aretha Franklin. You have some knowledge
At
of that.
least
You
Michael
like to listen.
Jackson.
But it's like it's cats that are rapping now. If it hasn't come out in the last 2 years, they don't even know what it is. And they'll say, so, I laughed. I remember many years ago, I forget which record. It was a record that the Game put out, and he was dissing Jay-Z, and he was like, you 35, or whatever. Now, how old is Game now?
Yeah.
And he's about to put out a record.
Yeah. I remember.
So
that
I
record.
always tell the young cats, I was like, be careful when you talk about that. Oh, you old or whatever, because you would want to be an old rapper. That means that it worked. You know, rather than you'd rather be an old rapper than an old janitor that used to be a young rapper. You understand what I'm saying? You could be either or. I choose the first part. You know what I mean? Because if you're an old rapper, that means something kept you in it to become an old rapper. And then, if you're going to continue your career, eventually you're going to reach that point. And now these cats are going to be looking at you the same way. So, be careful how you treat people. Or should I say, treat them how you would hope to be treated if you make it that far.
Absolutely.
And I think just being, having, a little bit tasted the industry, but just being a fan, I think the one thing that has bothered me about hip hop has been that we've never been allowed, like, you have the Rolling Stones and rock and roll, right? You have Lionel Richie can sell out an arena right now, but like we've never respected our, whether you want to call it elders, forefathers, we've never given that opportunity to have those golden, what they would call in other genres, golden oldies, right?
Right.
Where, like, why can't we have like the Rolling Stones of hip hop, where cats is in their 60s and 70s, because if they do it,
we're the only music and culture that we don't celebrate longevity, or and it's always been that way, right? Because that's why, rock and roll was stolen from us. Chuck Berry was doing what he was doing, and then Elvis came along, and then he became the king of rock and roll, or whatever it was, because we did it, and then we let it go. We're always looking for the next thing, and we do that with our music, our fashion, everything. But hip hop, especially, man, I think it's unfortunate, but what you do?
Let me ask you this, man. Like, I know we was talking about Pac, and obviously Pac has a great legacy, that he's left behind for the world. But what would you want, God forbid, but let's say Money B is not here tomorrow. What would you want to be remembered for? Remember that. I'm just saying, like, what do you want your legacy to be? Because I mean, you've personally, laid down a foundation for a lot of these cats, and the stuff that you guys were doing, you were pioneering, right? Like your sound and a lot of stuff you were doing, you were different than, like, when you were out, nobody was like you. So, I mean, what do you want your legacy to be, man? When cats is getting Money B tattoos and, and there's murals going up, what you want your legacy to be?
Well, it's amazing that you said that, because I also wrote an autobiography that it'll probably be released this year, right? and not to give it all away, but I do mention that, you know, I've 30 years in the music industry, you know, the whole
That's
legacy
amazing.
of Tupac, and just everything that we've accomplished in music. But I believe that my greatest accomplishment hasn't been achieved yet. So,
Wow, let's
you know,
go. Talk
the way
about it.
that I'm working is like, you know, like I said, I'm involved with Vire Network. We don't know what that's going to become.
Right.
You know, I'm in, well, you know, I have the Digital Underground merchandise. Y'all see I'm wearing it. You know, so I do that. I'm into so many things because I'm always looking to move forward and to, you know, to learn and grow. And I just feel like if it goes my way, or at least I believe in my heart of hearts that when it's all said and done,
Right.
you'll remember me for music second, because I feel
Wow.
like I haven't done my
Let's go.
real
Let's go. Talk about
this
it. Come
world.
on, man. Let's talk
Yeah.
about
Love
it,
that.
OG.
Love that.
Absolutely.
right, because I do feel like I have enough experience to share. It's kind of like what you guys were talking about with Pop. You know, he's going to spark the mind that changed the world. Well, believe it or not, Nipsey was one of those sparks,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
He kind of,
Yeah.
he took it, because what a lot of people don't know is Tupac, he had notes and books of all of these things that he wanted to do, have restaurants and schools and things like, you know, all of these things that he wanted to implement back into the community and these programs. He never got to do it because he was, you know, his life was cut short. Nipsey actually implemented some of these things
Yeah.
that Pop was talking about, right? So he
Yeah.
took it a step further. Now, it may not be in our lifetime, but somebody's going to come along and take it another step further,
Absolutely.
you know? So that's just how it works. So imagine if I could do the same, if I could speak to that person, whoever that next person is,
Yeah,
and
man.
give them
Wow.
something that they can carry and take everything that we've done, you know, because I'm open and I'm sharing all of, you know. And another thing we don't have financial literacy, right? So we don't know about our, you know, how to manage our money and what to do when we get money.
Exactly.
And, you know, I can, even at my age, I'm learning as well. But I
Right.
feel like that's something that's purposely kept from us,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, Black and brown people, they don't offer that information, you know. And so, you know, one of my business partners, he does a financial literacy class. He teaches like eight to 14-year-olds how to navigate the stock market and how to, you know, manage finances and everything. So they're learning at a very young age, which is something that, you know, these families that are very, very rich, they teach their kids, start teaching them at that age.
Wow.
But we don't, you know, I didn't know about credit till it was bad.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? I got it, and I was like, oh, what? I can do this? And I toe it up. But that's how we do, because we don't know how to manage money. We're not financially literate. So that's, you know, one of the things that I hope to learn enough that I can share. And so maybe, you know, somebody who comes after doesn't have to go through all the pitfalls that we had to go through. And I'm talking about people from my generation of music, and not just musicians, but athletes or just people who make money in general. You know, you hear all of these what do you call them? Like these sad stories. What do they call them?
Yeah. I know what you're
These
saying. Like
horror
cautionary
stories
tales.
about cautionary, unfortunate tales of cats that, you know, made millions and millions, but they ended up broke back at their
Right.
mama house, like Isaac Hayes or whoever that didn't have no dough. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of work to be done, you know. And I have it honest. You know, when you guys do get
Absolutely.
my autobiography, you know, I kind of grew up that way. My father was in the Black Panther Party, right? So I kind of grew up in that. And so when I was young, you know, I actually met Rosa Parks. She came to our school, Stevie Wonder,
Wow.
Willie Mays. And like,
Wow.
you know, I was exposed to a lot of, you know, Huey P. Newton actually handed me my diploma when I graduated from the school. So
Get out of here,
you know,
man.
we kinda,
That's fire.
Yeah, no, for real. You know, that was one of the connections me and Pop had too. You know, my dad was in the party and his mom was. And it's not like we sat around having meetings or anything, but we kind of understood each other in that way.
No, but just to have that energy, just to have that connection is man.
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of more like when he was talking all that stuff, it didn't sound strange or foreign to me. I knew what he was talking about. He knew I understood where he was coming from, like right away.
Yo, that's hot, man. Yo, we could talk to you forever and ever, man. Like for real. I mean, because I'm barely getting to the man. I got so many things I want to ask you. You know, unfortunately, at this particular time, our show is only an hour. That's temporary. But man, we appreciate you so much, man, for coming. I want to
thank you so much.
Everybody
So
go check out the Fire streaming.
Yeah, download that. Get it.
Check out the vibe.
Check out the Going Way Back show.
And out.
Like I said, you know, for everything I'm doing, just follow me on IG or Twitter at MoneyB69, like the position.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, man, just, you know, thank you so much, man. You definitely made my day. We're gonna have to have you back, man. We're gonna have to talk about everything you got going now. Man, we're gonna be looking out for that autobiography. So when you about to drop that, let me know so I want to push that, man, because I think that's important that we support each other and give each other our flowers now. I say it again, man, you definitely are a living legend, brother. You know what I mean? You one of my favorite MCs. You know what I mean? I've been a huge fan since I was in high school. So for me, this is like, you know, young, like 15-year-old me right now is geeking out, man. Like, yo, is that gonna Money B? You know what I mean?
New music coming soon too.
Hey, see, we're gonna have to do all that, man. And so in the spirit of what the show was about, you know what I mean? And you know, I want to, you know, I always leave at the end of the show with a touch of love, with some inspiration and some motivation and a little bit of spirituality. You know, there's a scripture that says that you know, I know the plans I have for you, says the Almighty, plans to prosper you, to give you a future and a hope, not to harm you. So understand, as long as you still breathing, as long as there's breath in your lungs, you could change the trajectory of your life. Things might seem a little bit crazy. You might have been through some things, but as long as you got breath in your lungs, keep it pushing, dream for bigger, dream for more. Don't get satisfied, because if the Almighty says, I know the plans I have for you, don't worry about what no one else say. You did, because there's only two people that could change that, and that's you and him. So, you know, we want to thank Money B for being on the show. Again, we want to salute Tupac Shakur. Don't forget, it's Black History Month. So please, if those of y'all who ain't black, if you don't know, it's customary. You're supposed to buy your black friends a gift. That's
Cash out.
You know what I mean?
At Money B69-1.
There it is. You know what I mean? And so, you know, all the time, you know what I mean? So those of y'all, we expecting our gifts. Give us hugs, high fives, you know, all that. We appreciate it this month, because you know the rest of the year we be getting dogged out.
Hey, you ain't got to stop after this month either.
Exactly.
We need a show called every month.
Exactly, but you
I'm
know,
making history every day.
There it is. We are Black History. Matter of fact, we are Black History.
Looking at it, check it out.
Absolutely. So, ladies, you want to say anything real quick before we wind this down? We got 2 minutes.
Just thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again.
This was, like James said, we can listen to you for a lot longer. So I look forward to the next time you're on here, and I can't wait to check out everything we talked about. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Ms. Millian.
Coming, Tupac is a big inspiration to me. So
absolutely,
Tupac is a big inspiration to me. So thank you for coming and just sharing his stories and everything. We appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely. Yo, so you know what it is. You were tuned into the Revolution Radio Show, where we try to revolutionize your mind, your body, your spirit, even your money. We trying to revolutionize everything. And revolution ain't always comfortable, but it sure enough is necessary. As usual, I'm gonna let you know, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. We're gonna see you on Monday. Have a blessed weekend. Y'all stay healthy.
Oh my.